It was extremely appropriate.
Extremely appropriate. You know, Andrew's birthday just went by just a couple weeks ago. You're sitting in his chair. You're sitting in the chair that Andrew Breitbart sat in many, many times.
That was from the same day, Dave.
That was from the same day. Same day as one of the days he came bursting in here. Was very shocked. Like Kerry, like Kerry, he was very. Sure. By the way, you're writing. Well, Kerry's always writing. What do you got on the blog lately? At Kerry-Patton.com.
You know, the blog's been taking a pause for a while there because I was doing so much with SoftRep on some really serious issues. We're really trying to promote certain initiatives, so as a team effort, I tell you, man, some of the stuff that's coming out of the Rhino Den right now is, it really is exceptional. So it's just cool to be part of this tribal community. And let's face it, Dave, you know, when you're in the military, especially when you get out in the veteran community, you have to take it as we really are a tribe, where if we stick together, we all succeed. Right. But if I decide as a veteran to drift away from that tribe, what happens to that guy, you know, that drifts away? They normally just go on the wayside and you never hear of them. They don't really become a successful guy. And that's one of the reasons why guys
like Jack Murphy, Lincoln Adams, Nora George, Lincoln Henry Jones, Teresa Christopher, Charles Henry Robert Ida, Sam Tom, Ocean Paul Henry Edward Robert, Middle of the January 1993,
community, and Nick is by far exemplifying the tribal leader role of, we want to help you guys. Come over and embrace what we're trying to do, because we're doing it for all of us. And it's not just now for the veterans. If you look at somebody like John Walsh and his gym, that's not just a gym for anybody. It is, but it's not, because look where his location is, Camp Lejeune area.
Right.
You know he's training Marines, he's training Marine spouses, Marine children, law enforcement, EMTs. I mean, that's his community, that's his tribal community, that's his clan, if you will.
Very, very.
You know, and that's what's so cool about what Nick's doing right now with this Indiegogo campaign on Operation Ranger Up.
Yeah, and make sure folks, I'm telling you, I mean, the great thing about Indiegogo is you give what you get.
Absolutely.
You know, that's these have been great programs. They're kind of what I call crowdsourced microfinance. If somebody says, I want to support this, and it's fair. It's not again,
nice looking moon out the door.
Can't give, you know, everything they want to, but give something. If 1,000 people give $5 a piece, it's $5,000.
Yep.
If you give 10, it's 10,000. Never think that my $5 doesn't matter, or my $100 or my $50, whatever you can
Absolutely.
put in.
Yeah, the majority of the donations have been, you know, $5, $10, $20.
David, here the noise is too high in there.
Money just, you know,
I said that's a nice looking moon out the window.
Hours or something into it. You know, and we're doing great. You know, by
we did call inside and we're talking
for the first
to
somebody on
good
well, somebody must have given, because I know the total went up for mine and it just went up again.
I think you're inspiring. I think that's what's happening.
Hopefully I am. I know Felipe Hemming, let's get some of the tweets in here. Ryan Jameson, he chimes in, I slept and I dreamt that life was all joy. I woke when I saw that life was all service. I served and I saw that service. Pretty profound.
That might be the deepest.
That might be. Hey, Felipe, I tell you, the Patriot audience doesn't get around. All right, Ray, let's have it.
He just went poetic killer on us right there, Dave.
And no hashtags or anything.
Right to the point.
Hashtag Beaver.
Although it is quoted, so we have to ask Felipe to tweet out where that came from, because that's an amazing statement.
Talking with them, he is on home oxygen.
We'll have to check. All right, go ahead.
Anyway,
My first tweet comes from Ange. He says, y'all would appreciate this. The best way to honor and appreciate our returning veterans is by helping them find gainful employment.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first thing in life, out of poverty, in a place, gives you ownership, is a job.
Absolutely.
You know, you want to have a career, sometimes it just starts with a job.
Starts with a job. Starts with something to do that, you know, brings in revenue for your family, gives you a skill, allows you a baseline to improve and get better.
Keeps the pride up.
Absolutely.
And pride. Look at the pride in military. I mean, a little time of it, just having everything, passing an inspection, being a platoon, whatever it is, every step along the way, it's a very prideful achievement.
I think the most dangerous thing is, for veterans especially, but for all people, is when you no longer believe in yourself, you no longer have pride in what you do. Things unravel quickly after that, and I think that when veterans have a lack of mission, a lack of pride in who they are, I honestly think that has a lot to do with the suicide epidemic that we have.
Right, and that is a big problem, and it's something I've gotten more and more, I don't know if the word is intimate, but more and more I learn about it, realize how important it is to deal with these issues. Go ahead, Ray, what do you got?
Alright, well, I have one for Nick. Sean NC at Toledo RFT wants to know, when's the DVD coming out? As a driver, I don't have much time in one place.
The DVD for the webisodes for the Entrepreneur Program?
Just everything.
I think either that or he's looking for an MMA DVD. I'm not sure what he's got.
No, you got the damn
So our
Yeah.
animated cartoon DVD sells now. That's the only DVD
Oh,
we
that's
currently
also
have.
right, okay.
Okay. Alright, so then I guess
We will put out a DVD, I'm sure, with all the webisodes once.
Right, the damn few cartoon, right? And by the way, there will be no DVDs if the women's we'll send you down to see John Wall.
Just before we lose Kerry Patton and Agent Orange did ask this question last week, and Kerry was not there to answer it. Kerry, what are your takes on the growing militarization of police in America?
I really don't have a response to it because there's so many conspiracy theories out there. It's just not worth my time.
Yeah, exactly. It just leads it to.
I'm just making the audience happy. That's what we do here on the Big Word Show. They ask questions, we try to get answers.
Yeah, there's your answer. By the way, Felipe says it's Khalil Gibran. That's where that quote comes from. All right, give us a couple more, guys. We got a minute left to go to the top. Make it quick.
I got one from Trace. This administration cuts benefits while increasing those for well-fed parasites to a Democrat. A hero is someone who votes Democrat.
All right, next one. Ray, finish that.
Alright, let's see. Tuesday is a tough one. Okay, alright, so I have one that says no, Dave Webb Show. Cruz is ready for 2016. This country needs him.
Okay, good luck with that. 866-95 Patriot, program it into your phone. Do Safe Radio tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. on America's News Headquarters. My weekly debate with Kirsten Powers.
Spectre
Boy,
alert.
look at him, he's right here in the studio, Kerry Patton. You were the surprise of that, man. Good to see you. Always good to see you. Yeah, what you do is amazing. And John Walsh, if you're still listening, good luck with that. 5 Rings MMA, the number 5, ringsmma.com, Jacksonville, North Carolina. Of course, Ranger Up, and on Indiegogo, Operation Ranger Up. So keep those donations coming. It'll get you there, folks. I think you feel good too. Doing the right thing. And if I can do it this easily, and while talking to you, anybody can do it. I'm just a talk show host. Have a great night, America. We'll do this again tomorrow. And always remember that truth is the authority.
Just my children and my thank my lucky stars to be living here. Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be
The future of your business is in danger unless you stay ahead of your competition. The economy is back on track and only the strongest will survive. You need easy access to capital to support and expand your business or you'll be left behind. National Funding Group works with businesses just like yours who use the money we lend them for payroll, advertising, expansion, inventory, and equipment to increase their profits. We invest in medical practices, retailers, restaurants, salons, auto repair and body shops, and hundreds of other types of businesses that currently gross a minimum of $8,500 a month in revenues. We offer flexible repayment plans customized to meet your cash flow needs. Absolutely no collateral is required and underwriting is extremely fast. You can receive up to $500,000 as little as 48 hours. Don't let your competitors leave you in the dust. Call the National Congressional Funding Group now at 1-800-346-7919. 1-800-346-7919. Once again, that's 1-800-346-7919.
Your home for the latest news and notes on the important 2014 midterm elections. This is Sirius XM Patriot 125.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Chris Vermillion. White House on the defensive for Obamacare, saying the idea that jobs will be lost due to the president's signature legislation is nothing more than a myth.
Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius is calling the idea that Obamacare leads to job loss a popular myth.
There is absolutely no evidence, and every economist will tell you this, that there is any job loss related to the Affordable Care Act. The number of full-time workers continues to increase, so I know that that's a popular myth that continues to be repeated, but it just is not accurate.
Sebelius' remarks contradicting the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office's report, stating there would be a reduction in the full-time workforce beginning in 2017 as a result of the law. A report stating Obamacare would lead to more employees working part-time hours and leaving the workforce altogether. I'm Tom Peaks, The Blaze News.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
And we're back with Cheryl Todd of azfirearms.com. Cheryl, firearms has been a huge news story lately. Many people are looking to buy. But what can you tell folks who have guns they want to sell?
Great question, John. azfirearms.com is a small, local, family-owned store that serves people nationwide. We are always looking to purchase used firearms, and when you are ready to sell your firearms or trade in and trade up, we are federally licensed to purchase all across the nation, and we are always offering the highest value for your used firearms. We specialize in firearms for personal protection, law enforcement, and hunting, but as our name implies, azfirearms.com buys everything from A to Z. So contact azfirearms.com to sell your used firearms today. And when you're ready to buy, we are just the right place for you. We have a huge inventory and a knowledgeable staff ready to help you find just the right firearm for you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Whether you're buying or selling, great service, great prices, and great deals are a click away at azfirearms.com. Visit them in Arizona or check out their website at azfirearms.com.
President Obama believes there's an extension of corruption in the vast targeting of conservative groups by the IRS. As it turns out, he's only one of the few who feel that way. The Blaze Radios came on.
The poll by Fox News showing a slim majority of Democratic voters thinking there is corruption at the IRS, and a full 60% of Democrats saying Congress needs to keep investigating the targeting of religious, conservative, and Tea Party groups. Nearly two-thirds of all voters polled believing there is corruption in the targeting, 51% of Democrats agreeing, 81% of Republicans, and 65% of independents. The same poll giving President Obama a 42% approval rating, Congress only 14%. I'm Kay Long, The Blaze News.
The deep freeze in the Northeast is saving the lives of passengers on a small plane. It's so cold, the Great Lakes have frozen over. 90% frozen, in fact, allowing a small plane to make an emergency landing on top of Lake Huron, saving the lives of the 6 passengers inside. Trooper Fred Stritch talking to WWTV in Michigan.
The one passenger
Maybe that we dealt with today.
actually saw through the landing on the runway. He also stated that the pilot did an excellent job.
Thanks for looking.
And just announced that he was going to make an emergency landing.
Pilot saying the plane's engine simply quit. Nobody hurt and no other damage to the plane. Venezuelan opposition leader Leopoldo Lopez is in jail tonight after surrendering to police following days of unrest in the South American country, saying that if his jailing serves to awaken Venezuela, then it will be well worth the imprisonment imposed upon him with cowardice, he adds, by President Nicolas Maduro. Maduro claiming that Lopez is guilty of treason and psychological warfare, telling a group of supporters that nobody has the right to subject families to violence, and in Venezuela, everyone has full political freedom. I'm Chris Vermillion on the Blaze Radio Network. Truth lives here.
Good Tuesday to you.
J1J6 lockdown to me.
Sponsored by NOSWA. It will regulate a militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Cam Edwards, your host, joined in studio right off the bat with our good friend Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, who is with us. How are you, sir?
I was just passing by on my way to the kennel with my great hunting dog and can't gotta come on with it. So I'm glad to be with you.
I love the fact we have a dog in the studio. We need more dogs in the studio.
You'll never know what it's going to work.
In the studio, absolutely.
City HB 197. I'll be 1010 with 111 and 35 at the Marlins Family Restaurant off of I-90.
There's the best hunting dog on the planet right there.
That Casey.
Casey the hunting dog, best bird dog I've ever had. Really? The boy can stand coming over to see him. Now we're gonna get her off. Casey. So that is the best retriever I've ever had. She's capable of pulling enormous geese out of the Chesapeake when there's ice all over the water.
Yeah.
That are bigger than she is. And a great buddy besides.
What a good dog. Well, listen, I appreciate you bringing her
What better
on.
channel would you have around than Scorpion Channel?
Right? Absolutely. You know, in a dangerous world, you need a good dog, Colonel. And it is a dangerous world. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm glad we could have you here because trying to keep track of all of these hotspots around the world. Venezuela, for instance, a lot of unrest down there. Senator Rubio had tweeted something over the weekend trying to draw attention to this. Hasn't been a lot of press
Alert.
not here in the United States, and of course down in Venezuela.
Press is controlled.
Exactly.
And on top of that, you've got terrible things going on next door in Nicaragua. You have bad things going on in Honduras. And you still have friends in other countries like El Salvador, all of which are threatened by the chaos that's going on around it. Part of the chaos isn't just political anymore. Daniel Ortega is still in Managua, in Nicaragua. And of course, Chavez is finally dead. At least he's dead in terms of what he was as a human being, but his politics are being continued by the current regime in Caracas. The threat to the people is so great that the end result is what begins as a small trickle becomes a tidal wave of illegals entering the United States. And they end up going all the way north across all of Mexico in great vulnerability in many cases, simply to find a place where they can raise their family peacefully and with some kind of economic opportunity, because the chaos created by the narco-terrorists and of course by the political chaos leaves them vulnerable to being unable to take care of their families. And so what we should be looking forward to about 6 months from now is that tidal wave once again coming against the southern border.
8 will be escorting them up for you.
What do you think, what is the end result going to be in these countries? Are we going to just see failed states?
Look I mean, the record of this administration in dealing with chaos is not a good one. Yeah. And this is, after all, we're looking at the end result of the so-called Arab Spring, in which Christians in places like Egypt are now the most vulnerable people you could ever find. You have Hezbollah running the country called Lebanon. You have absolute chaos and brutal atrocities happening in nearby Syria. I was just in Israel, and the Israelis say for the very first time they feel, and this is a word you don't hear often in any country, betrayed by the Americans. They liken it to what happened in December of 1974 when, of all things, Gerald Ford can't get through a budget that includes funding for the country called the Republic of Vietnam. He tells them that that's what he wants. They send him a budget that does not have any funding for the Republic of Vietnam. He vetoes it, and on the 8th of December 1974, Congress overrode his veto. The end result was a horrific disaster for 5 million people who perished in Southeast Asia. The United States of America, our military, takes us decades to recover from it. What the Obama administration has done is they've been so bereft of leadership and the idea of American exceptionalism in the world. The greatest force for good on the planet Earth is the United States of America, ever since the dawn of Christianity, right? And so if you look at what the United States has done, we ought to be exceptional. Wouldn't it be nice to have a commander-in-chief who is proud of America, who can say, yes, we are an exceptional nation, where we protect the rights of individuals. We don't give those protections of our Constitution to foreigners, but we keep them for our own. Instead of a commander-in-chief who wanders around the world, garbed as a Nobel laureate, apologizing for a country for which we ought to apologize for nothing.
talking with Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, and Colonel, you've been all over this country, you've been all over this world, and it seems like every time I talk to you, you're just getting back from somewhere, or you're getting ready to go somewhere.
Dispatch Medic 5 is not regional.
I know that your patriotism is so pure, so genuine, it's so close to who you are because of all of the men and women who have served this nation so well. You've come by your patriotism honestly. You are proud of your country because you've seen so many people who made you proud to be an American.
You're kind, Kim. I wear this proudly. This is our Life for Duty logo on this jacket to remind everybody that one of our purposes in life is to recruit more young soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardsmen, Marines, and their families into the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association is the preeminent civil rights organization in America today. We stand for the Second Amendment, without which you would not have the other 9 of the 10 Bill of Rights. The United States of America is defended by the bravest and best of a generation today. It grieves me to see what this administration, and unfortunately many in Congress, are doing to this military. And my hope is that the American people aren't going to give up on those who have served us so well. We've not blamed them in our media like those who served in that first war I went to as a young Marine off to Vietnam. And my hope is that we're not going to abandon what's going on in Afghanistan.
KA,
because
alert.
of the failure of Will in Washington, we lose that fight too, just like we lost in Vietnam. We didn't lose a battle in Vietnam. We lost in the quarters of power in Washington. We ought not to lose this war that way.
Well, this is what scares me, is that, and I think, maybe not scared is the right word, what concerns me, is that, as we've been talking about, the world is a dangerous place, and pretending that it's not, it doesn't make it a safer place. And I think that there's it seems in realms of foreign policy and much of our media coverage, there's this, I think, almost unwillingness to confront really what's going on outside of our borders.
There's a denial of reality.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Cam. Look, you and I are both Virginians. This is the place that is properly called the cradle of presidents. We just celebrated George Washington's birthday. We've renamed that as President's Day and all that. I get it. But Washington is one of my heroes in my life, not just because of what he did during the Revolution, but in the aftermath of that revolution, looking around and saying, we need a constitution that's going to protect us from not only foreign adversaries, not only criminals in this country, but from government itself. He recognized that ultimately that is a threat. What we've become is a culture that is in denial about what's going on around the rest of the world. And to compensate for that, we have wacky ideas like the Department of Homeland Security is letting a contract to register every single license plate in America through optical readers and the like, going through things like you and I cover that toll road, going and coming to work here. Well, why would the government of the United States need a registry of every license plate? I mean, think about it. I've seen ones with I love the NRA on it. Is that going to be a crime? I'm just asking, because you gotta wonder who comes up with these kinds of crazy ideas when you've got real threats, real risks, and globally we confront them daily. I mean, you look at the young Americans that we've got in harm's way in places all the way from South Sudan to Somalia, to Afghanistan, the Persian Gulf, the Indian Ocean, the Philippines. They're in harm's way. They volunteered to serve our country. They did so in the era when, for the very first time since the American Revolution, every single person serving in harm's way is a volunteer. No draft, no conscription, no press gangs. And they came because they want, like you and I, they want, and hopefully our viewers, they want to protect the liberties of Americans and offer others the hope of freedom that we enjoy. What a wonderful testament to the kind of people I get to keep company with every day.
Well, listen, and you provide such a wonderful testimony to those men and women. When we were out at SHOT Show in Las Vegas, I had the opportunity to meet a recipient of the Medal of Honor, Staff Sergeant Clinton Robichaud, and it was I was struck dumb, Colonel. I didn't know what to say to this young man other than thank you, and to let him talk about what he wanted to talk about. And I've been very blessed as a Virginian when we moved here to move to an area where a lot of military families, and so I got to know guys who have done 4 or 5. I know someone who's back actually right now in Afghanistan. I think this is his 3rd time to Afghanistan, 4 times in Iraq. And as you say, a lot of the media tends to deny that these folks and their families exist. So I really appreciate you sharing their stories and you covering them.
You kind of can, and you are blessed because you let Clint Lomish's family and friends and Americans see his humility. He is a humble, modest person. And acknowledges that I'm not the
got a call from Alex Foley, 18-year-old. Gave the address.
Being able to keep coming, being able to tell their stories, and a lot of what life and duty is all about is letting those stories get told. I tell almost everybody I know today is younger than I am. I said, a country needs heroes. And people say, well, why do they need heroes? Because heroes are role models for what the rest of us want to be. See, a hero isn't someone wearing a spandex suit and a cape. A hero is someone who puts himself at risk for the benefit of others. So every fireman that you and I see out here in Alexandria, Virginia, or every state trooper like the one that was killed out west here just a few days ago, or every lawman, deputy sheriff who's out there trying to do the right thing to protect us from, and every one of those youngsters who's serving in the military uniform, all have the same ideal. I'm willing to sacrifice something of myself for the good of others, and that makes them heroes by definition.
Absolutely. And again, we talk about the threats to this country, talk about the threats to our freedom. You look at you look at Venezuela, where there are the riots on the streets. Chavez had instituted these gun control regimes, and again, the gun control law is designed for public safety. It didn't do anything to bring down the apocalyptic violent crime rate there in Caracas, right?
Absolutely right. Newsflash: the criminals are not going to abide by the gun laws. Make all the gun laws you want, but they're not going to abide by them. And of course, we now see the inadequacies of many of those things. I mean, Wayne LaPierre and the NRA have advocated for years, including mental health issues as a reason to deny someone. Have you seen anything happen out of Washington, D.C.? Right. I mean, it's been on the table now for over 3 years again, and yet you can't find people in Washington, D.C. who want to pay attention to it, because they'd much rather have a draconian law that affected law-abiding citizens and stable individuals than deal with the really tough cases. And we just saw that article last week in the Washington Times, where very few people who actually applied for a firearms purchasing authorization, which is the so-called instant check, very few of them are ever turned down. It's less than 1%. Well, why is that? Because law-abiding citizens like you and I, when we want to buy a firearm, we go fill out all the paperwork, and they call it in and send it in by computer, and it comes up and says, no, Cam's okay, let them have a gun. Right. What they're not doing is being able to filter out that terribly unstable individual who is very, very likely to go off and do something seriously wrong, terribly injurious, maybe even deadly to others, and yet the Congress, the United States, and the states have failed to deal with it.
Well, listen, Colonel, I appreciate you coming on the program, sir, and again, it's a dangerous world out there, but you tell the stories and of those who help make this a safer place and an oasis in this dangerous world. So thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure to be with you and all of our great fans on Sportsman Channel and those who are members of the National Rifle Association. If you haven't already signed up, you should join me in the NRA.
Absolutely. Colonel, thank you so much. We'll talk again soon. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North joining us from NRA Life of Duty. When we come back, Mr. Ed Morrissey from HotAir.com will join us. Also, NRA President Jim Porter Coming with us next hour, talking about Remington's big expansion into Alabama. Stick around. Just getting started right here on NRA News Cam and Company, sponsored by
4251, Roger, have a good night.
Here in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the SHOT Show in the booth of Kids and Clays. This is Julie Wozniak of Kids and Clays Foundation. Good to see you, Julie.
Nice to see you as well.
So obviously, Kids and Clays sounds pretty self-explanatory, but explain what you guys do.
Well, we are actually a foundation that was created to benefit Ronald McDonald House charities. So we're entering our 15th season, and we have netted over $11 million that goes directly to Ronald McDonald Houses for families of sick and injured children, so they can stay near their children in that time of crisis.
So give me a typical event. Like what do you guys do?
Well, we put on primarily sporting clays events, although we have done trap and skeet as well. What we really do is, what we're known for is we're great hospitality. We started these events really because, you know what, the golfing events in the world were more than we needed to have. And the founder, Glenn Lebesnick, loved to shoot. So this is how it got started. Because of that, we were able to roll out national by finding sponsors, etc. But our shoots are made up primarily, initially, of folks who support Ronald McDonald House. They've been touched by the house. So 30 to 40% of our participants actually come and become brand new shooters. We teach them how to shoot. We have loaner guns available for them. We have great hospitality. We do a lot of fun things with them. We shoot soft and medium targets so everybody can hit something.
Even I can. I'm the worst shot of all.
So it's a fun event. But more importantly, it raises awareness for the charity and really helps those families.
Sounds great. It's amazing work you do. I can't imagine how good you feel at the end of the day. Our listeners and viewers, of course, would love to help out with this effort, Kids and Clays. Where do they go online and how can they donate?
It's very simple. They can go to kids, K-I-D-S, and A-N-D, Clays, C-L-A-Y-S.com. Go to our website. We have a donation form. We're also running a drawing that will happen at Nationals, NSCA Nationals in October, where we're giving away a Blaser gun, an E-Z-Go cart, a Lincoln trap, a laser hunter education system, and also a $1,000 Winchester gift card that can be used for ammunition. They can also find that order form on our website as well.
That's great. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Here in Las Vegas at the SHOT Show with Brian Crosswhite of a new organization, 2AO. New, but man, through the roof, right, Brian?
Absolutely. Well, we're a new organization that is a organization representing businesses who are pro-Second Amendment. We have a register on our website, 2AO.org. Companies can go out and register. We send out a decal to them every year. The display that decal, it also goes onto our iPhone.
Sirius XM The Blend, a bright blend of commercial-free pop music. You'll hear pop icons like Adele, Phil Collins, Mariah Carey, blended with new discoveries too. Plus, go behind the music with Backstage Blend, with intimate and exclusive in-studio performances. Bright pop blends, commercial-free on Channel 16 and on the Sirius XM app.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Come today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-836-5612 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 836-5612 to take your call now. Call 800-836-5612. That's 800-836-5612. Again, 800-836-5612.
Working out of New York for so many years, when we came down here and needed to find an oncologist, you want somebody who is on cutting edge. and we were fortunate to get him.
Now in our 30th year, Florida Cancer Specialists celebrates the millions of patients whose lives have inspired us. Nearly 200 physicians, over 80 locations, including West Palm Beach, Naples, and Tampa. For an office in Florida near you, go to flcancer.com. Florida Cancer Specialists, online at flcancer.com.
Cameron, I'd be seeing Bullet here in the studio.
I will not argue with any dogs in the studio at any time.
We're going to need a bigger desk, I think, unfortunately. But Mr. Ed Morrissey joins us from hotair.com. How are you, Ed?
I'm doing fine. You had Colonel North in the studio today? That's
yes.
great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's always fantastic getting a chance to talk with him. That guy is just always, like I said, he's always coming from somewhere or he's getting ready to go